Hello, this is RICKY, the Android guy. Hey guys, so today I'm bringing you the full review of the HTC One. Now this phone has been praised by many tech websites. Many tech websites have actually put it at number one on most lists, and I have been not on the same page as everyone. I've said again, I feel it's because I've reviewed things like the S4 first. So today we're going to see, does this really match up to being the best smartphone on the market, or is it one you should definitely consider if buying a smartphone? So first of all, let's go over some of the basics and let's go in depth. So for possibly one of the HTC One's best features, we have to go to the look and feel of the device. It's a very elegant look, as it's been praised for it, and it's a all aluminum unibody device. So very fine in the way it's formed, and a lot of people have loved this design. So it has an all aluminum backing, along with a plastic around the sides, and aluminum on the front to cover the dual speakers, and then Gorilla Glass 2 on the screen. So very nice design. A lot of people like it. Depending on how you feel about it, some people love the weight, some people don't like the weight. It is a bit heavier compared to phones such as the iPhone 5, Galaxy S4, LG Optimus G Pro, but comparing to even some bigger phones like the Note 2, it still is a bit more hefty. So some people like that because it's because of the aluminum. It feels some people will say it's a solid phone. Some people on the other side will say it's a little bit too heavy. Where you side, I would say go into the store and feel it. And see how you like the weight, if you like the weight, and keep in mind this is without a case. So really very nice design. I do say, as most reviewers have said, I wish the buttons would have been a bit more pronounced, as they kind of are very flushed on the side. And also this white trimming, I wish they would have went with maybe a silver, just because the white, even during the 2 weeks I've had it, has gotten a little tarnished, and I've definitely seen this in other reviewers' designs as well. So look and feel though is on par, or not even on par, really above almost every other smartphone out there right now. So as it's gotten praise for its look and feel section. Now the HTC's hardware specs are very highly rated indeed. First off, we have the critically acclaimed Qualcomm Snapdragon 600 processor. This one is clocked in at 1.7 gigahertz, and it has the great graphics card of the Adreno 320. In terms of its most notable feature is definitely front stereo speakers that give what's called, HTC calls, boom sound. Essentially just two front speakers with an amplifier built in. In terms of other highlights, you have a 4 ultra megapixel. This is basically a megapixel that allows for more light being let through, simply because the pixel size is bigger. On the front camera, you have a 2.1 megapixel. Now, this model does, of course, have 4G LTE, along with the latest Wi-Fi versions, and it does come with 32 or 64 gigs of internal storage and 2 gigs of RAM. However, it is important to note in terms of hardware, the memory is not upgradable, and the battery, which is 2300 milliamps, is also non-removable. Now, when it comes to web browsing, the HTC has its own personal stock browser, which is quite nice simply because if you do want to install Flash, you can still use it with the stock browser as opposed to the Chrome browser that comes in other Android devices. So in terms of web browsing, the HTC did have its own function right down here at the bottom, which is, Facebook it, recommend it on Facebook, tweet it, apps, share, and then you can just kind of see like little pre-selected bookmarks. In terms of fluidity, it actually does a very good job. Very fluid. Add pinch to zoom, double tapping. Although the double tapping always doesn't line up perfectly, if there is a photo and text, such as on this website, it tends to generally just go for the text more so. But in terms of web browsing, you'll generally be very happy. There's only very few times when it stutters, and it seemed to be fixed after an update, the first update that this phone had. So it's a lot more fluid now and does a really good job. Now when it comes to sound quality, the HTC One is, well, it doesn't have a competitor really. It is by far the best sound quality that we've gotten from a phone to date. A lot of this comes from the front speakers, as it does show a very good progress. We've only seen front speakers before in other devices, but never on a phone, and that's really stood out with this device. So playing a couple different genres, from rap to
all nice and decent.
to more of a rock. As you can see, it plays all very, very well. I will say that it does gear, of course, because of its Beats equalizer built in, that it does gear more towards bass. So genres such as rap, I feel, do a lot better, even like things like techno or anything that uses a lot of bass. Whereas rock, sometimes depending on the instruments, can have a crackle or two. This, however, is only when you put it all the way up. If you have it on mid or even towards the higher level, that crackle just completely goes away. So it's just something to note that I noticed. Now when it comes to videos, the 1080p screen of course plays a dramatic role as well.
Wouldn't they sound better facing the right way? We thought the same about our speakers. Introducing the new HTC One with dual frontal stereo speakers and a built-in amplifier for richer, sharper sound.
So it does very well when it comes to their video playback. An important thing to note about their video as well when it's built in, you can take a snapshot at any point, which is of course really nice. Now, unfortunately, the camera is probably this device's, or one of this device's, least appealing features. HTC boasted about having an extremely well low light and that megapixels don't matter. So therefore ultra pixel shouldn't have done anything, should be right up there with all of the 8 megapixel cameras out. The problem is that sometimes it does matter. For one, this is a 1080p screen, so HTC itself won't let you zoom in all the way just because simply it doesn't want you to bounce all the way in. And although this might not seem like, really, oh, well, I mean, how much do you need to zoom in? If you're cropping, that is a big deal. Even if it's photos that are 1080p and that weren't taken with this camera, you still can't zoom in all the way. However, we also tend to see a little bit of I would say washed out photos. During the daytime, it tends to always let more light in because of the the ultra pixel. So what this does is give, when these were blossoming, they're kind of looking like they're on their way out in a sense. Also, the detail just isn't very fine, of course, not as clear. We've also noticed a little bit of lack of depth in photos. This looks all in one color, whereas when we compared it with other cameras out there, this was dark and very light. So, whereas HTC kind of flattens it out. Now, in terms of low light, since this is the biggest feature that HTC boasts, we do have some give and take. For one, in a completely dark lit area, which is the closet we have here in the studio, it obviously did very well. So this is completely dark, there is no flash whatsoever in a very dark area, and it lit it up very nicely. However, we've seen that none of the pictures are really clear in the low light area. Anytime we actually have a low light photo, it's not really as clear as you would like it to be for a photo. For instance, this one I had to take multiple times just because I kept getting a little bit of a grainy shot or not as stabilized. Also in this shot, when I finally got the best one, I've seen that it does a lot of what you call lens flaring. Basically, anytime there's a light in it, it kind of takes over the photo. So in this kind of light, in this kind of light, and in this kind of light, it just always has that lens flare. It just can't control it, it seems like. Now, obviously, you can really brighten up a shot, but if the light that you're getting is taking up half the shot, it can be rather annoying. Sometimes it does a very good job with no light whatsoever, again, such as right here, there was no light whatsoever to lighten it up, and yet it pulled in light to get a really great low light shot. So sometimes it does good, but more often than not, it's just very grainy and fuzzy. This was actually one of the clearest ones out of all of the photos I'd taken with it, and funny, it was the last low light photo I tried, and it was very well off. The last thing I wanted to go over was Zoe. Now, Zoe is a very cool feature that HTC definitely boasted about. The idea behind it is that you get, if you put it in events, it'll naturally have all of your Zoe shots that you've taken throughout the day and put them in a Zoe. What that is essentially is a Zoe allows you to have a collage and kind of like a soundtrack, kind of like a slideshow, but better, of all of your photos and videos that you've taken in one day. So this is by far its coolest feature. And the nice part about it is you can always change the song right here and change it to a different kind of style. And this will change the entire theme and how this is all shot. So very well off for this, and this is probably the best feature about the camera. In terms of the quality, I would say It's better than HTC, I would say, used to have, but HTC has never been one of the top cameras in the market. So, you know, things like the Lumia, the iPhone, and the Galaxy series have done better than this one, and cameras have just never been its strongest point. And unfortunately, this does continue a bit in the One. When it comes to video recording, however, I feel that the HTC One does a much better job compared to their photo quality. The video is very smooth with transitioning. You can move it very easily, and you don't have any kind of stuttering. This is because the HTC One does have one really nice camera feature, and that is optical image stabilization. Definitely above most of the rest of the cameras in the industry, which only have digital image stabilization. Optical is much superior to digital, so this really does panning very well. If you put it at the highest volume, though, if you're panning, you will get some wind. However, clarity is very, very good. The sound picks up very well, and general look is pretty spot on. At times you can see things a little bit grainy, but just make sure that when you do take a video, you do one very important setting, and that is on the menu settings for your video. You can scroll up, and under, I believe, camera options, lock focus in video. This is normally on when you first get the device. I would recommend turning it off for any time you're going to be shooting a video, simply for the fact that sometimes things walk in front of you or things walk behind you, and if you want to get the full experience of the video, you want it to autofocus, not lock on the focus. So for that reason, I recommend switching that just so you have a much better video recording experience, because this does have a really great camcorder for video recording. Now, in terms of gaming, I did do a full gaming review, so make sure you check that out. But in terms of gaming, this has a kind of mixed conclusion. Although the processor and the graphics card make this ideal for gaming by far, this device tends to really overheat when it comes to gaming. I've asked HTC reps about this, and basically the kind of gist that they've given me is that, unfortunately, I mean, aluminum is, you know, a very strong conductor of temperature. So even as I just started this game, I can already feel heat coming from this section. When I did the gaming review, it started from here and grew all the way till it got to the ends of the phone. By the end of the gaming experience, I was kind of like this. Just simply because of the fact that the entire device was very hot. And even as I'm speaking, I can feel it getting hotter. So it's just one thing I notice, just definitely tends to raise in temperature as you play heavy intensive games. And I'm not even playing the game yet, but of course this game is taking up the processor and the graphics already. So I'm noticing it get hotter as I use it. So for gaming, to be honest, I wouldn't really recommend this for gamers. Or if you're going to do it, you know, root it and use it with a Bluetooth controller maybe. But definitely not for holding in the hand for a long period of time, just because it will get hot. And that's not good for gamers, and it's probably not good for the device as well. When it comes to battery life, this is probably the biggest letdown of this device. I found myself needing to charge the device before the end of my work shift typically. Now, I did have either Wi-Fi or 4G on at all times. I'd never had GPS on, except when navigating occasionally. Checked social networking, things like that. but some things are always running, such as blink feed. It updates every so often, which you would want to have if you're using it. You can, of course, disable that so it won't update, but you know, I was doing it because I wanted to try out blink feed. So it depends on how you use the device. I would say though, if you're a heavy user, you definitely want to put power saving mode on, which is right here at the top at all times, and you can simply switch it on or off. Now, I did want to point out one thing about power saving mode that I think a lot of people would want to change on it, and that is when you go to power saving mode, it does one thing that I don't think most people would want, and that is the data connection. When you put it to sleep, and when the screen is off, your data connection will be off. So I don't think most people want that, because most people still want their push features, such as email and Facebook messages or anything like that. You generally want to have access to those at all time. So I would take that off when you're using power saving mode. Now, power saving mode will also slow down the processor, so your overall experience will be a bit slower. It will reduce the brightness automatically, and of course get away from the haptic feedback that you get when you like type and touch on certain apps. So, but battery life does drain very quickly. I had charged this to complete full before shooting about 3 videos, and it's already at 54%. It was at 100. So battery just definitely tend to drain quickly, and it's definitely one thing I've noticed about this device is that it's not for heavy users. If you are a heavy user and you get this device, you are going to want to at least get I believe they're called the Mobies, which is a battery charging case that comes with it, which will get you through the full day. But other than that, I mean, you're looking at anywhere from 5 to 8 hours, depending on the user. You can get longer if you leave it on power saving mode the entire time and have brightness down and things like that, of course. But I feel for most average users, you're not going to get through a full work shift. So just be cautious of that, or get the juice pack just so you have a full day experience, because normally the phone will not tend to give you that. And this has always been typical of HTC phones from EVOS and other devices. They've never had the best battery life, but this one's very key because it's not removable battery. So I'd recommend to anyone that has this device, get the juice pack. When it comes to extras, HTC One has a couple of neat ones. First of all, one of the best ones by far would be the built-in IR blaster. This allows you to control several devices such as TVs and top boxes, and allows you to control them with your phone. This is a really nice feature, and I've always enjoyed it on my tablets that I've had it on before, and I even enjoy it more on the phone side. So I really like this feature, to have the ability to use it. You can add different rooms, you can turn the power on and off, and you can even view it as a guide, which I think it does a good job of the guide feature itself, to kind of keep you up to date on everything that you watch, and it's a really nice looking interface. Now, another great feature is the Zoe feature. I feel that a lot of people that are buying this device will use the Zoe feature. Some people like it, some people don't. I actually really like this feature about the phone. Some people have said, you know, it's more of like a gimmicky thing, but it's to the eye of the beholder. I feel that it's a really nice feature to have, and it just does essentially kind of like a collage of your videos, and it just does a really well job. I think even the better job though is the built-in editor. I feel that that is a really great editor. It's probably one of the best I've seen on any phone. For editing purposes, you have a really great editor built into the device that just allows you to do everything from effects to frames to retouching. The retouching one is just really nice. I mean, you can just really do a lot of things with it. The cropping, the transformation, just it really has just a plethora of really nice things that you can do. And I do like the built-in editor, definitely. Another feature that is a extra is, of course, Blink Feed. So Blink Feed is just to catch up on all your social networking sites as well as your news feeds. This isn't as well done as I would say I like. I feel that it's limited in terms of like it's a little bit less than Flipboard and a little bit less than like tiles on a Windows, simply because I feel that we would want more than the title. I would want like, you know, like a little preview, maybe the first 2 lines of an article to give me a better idea, such as Flipboard does, or such as even a Windows tile does, which is, you know, what this has been often compared to. So in terms of extras, it has a lot of nice software extras. For the hardware extras, obviously the 32 gigs built-in storage is really nice, and the front stereo speakers are the best thing out there. So really well off in terms of extras. Now for price point. At the price point, we find this device at $199 for the most part on most carriers. Currently, right now, it's being offered through T-Mobile, AT&T, and Sprint. However, this does put it right square against other competitors, such as the iPhone 5, the Galaxy S4, as well as up and coming one, the LG Optimus G Pro. Being at this price point, it has some heavy competition. Unfortunately, I haven't seen sales really been that strong for it. However, HTC has combated that with a really great value plan, and that is a huge trade-in. So if you have an older HTC device, you can get the phone for as low as $250, I believe, sometimes, without contract. So really great trade-in program they have going on right now to basically help boost sales. I think this is really good because if a lot of people have it, then it'll get people like accessory makers to make more things for this device, which, as we all know, has been key in companies like Apple's and Galaxy's success. If you have more accessories, people will want to buy it, and people will love the device more. So in terms of price and value, it does put it hard competition with the $199 price point, and really competitive against the other ones. It has a lot of nice features, but a lot of the other devices do too. So it's kind of interesting. It's definitely depends on the user. If this is the best value, definitely the best value for their trade-in program, there's just no argument with that. But at the best value for the price, it depends on the user. So, all in all, is the HTC One the device for you? Well, that depends on the user. Typical users will feel very well off with this phone. It does have a lot of great features, however, it is missing 2 key ones that I feel are the main deterrents from this. And that is the camera. The 4 ultra megapixel has not been all that we hoped and dreamed it would be. I myself was very excited when I saw ultra pixel technology being put in because I used to be a photographer. However, I did notice that HTC's image processor, Image Ready 2, is, well, not ready. It still needs more improvement to reduce noise, which is the term for fuzziness in photos. In terms of battery life, that's also where it suffers. It's just not as good battery life, which I definitely noticed. I am a heavy user, though. For light or medium users, most customers will be very satisfied. Now, in terms of look and feel, you have one of the best look and feel phones out there, if not the best in the market right now. In terms of fluidity, it does a very good job, doesn't stutter, rarely on occasions will it ever stutter, so that's a very highlight feature to point out. It does have Sense on it, which you either like or you don't, but it's a really very customizable UI, definitely, when it comes to Sense. When it comes to everything else, you definitely have to point out the screen and the sound, because that is by far, I would say, its best features. The sound is unparalleled by any device on the market right now, and the screen is one of the best out as well. As in terms of extras, it does definitely have a lot, such as the remote control and other things such as that, and does a really good job of an all-around phone. For a lot of people, this will be the phone to get. However, competitively priced, I'm not sure. I feel that definitely the S4 would be its biggest competition, just because if you're going for Android, I would say the S4 does have more features. Now, some people that love this phone will call them gimmicks, but it has those features for people if they want it. And I don't know why it keeps touching Gmail, so it has those features, and some people will like it, some people won't. It definitely would have, like, say, like a better camera, longer battery life compared to the one. So you really have to ask yourself, what do you want in a device? Definitely, it's great for some people, and it's one of the best for a lot of people. So where do you see yourself? Do you see yourself getting the HTC One over any other device? Has it won you over with its design, body, sound? Or did you want more out of the phone? Do you think you're going to hold out for maybe a mid-range phone that they're coming out with? Definitely let me know in the comments down below, and let me know what you think. Thank you for watching this review. This has been RICKY, the Android Guy.